If you're still having problems with the 8-minute Skittles, and some people are not, there is another way of doing freeze-dried Skittles really fast without going through 6, 7, 8 hour candy mode. And you can actually do freeze-dried Skittles as quick as 1 hour. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So first you need to get some Skittles. And we need to go down to the freeze dryer. As everybody knows, you don't want your Skittles to be too close because you don't want them to touch and mess things up. So we're just going to go through here real quick and put some distance between all of our Skittles before we start up the batch. Okay, all of our Skittles are ready to go in, so we're going to go ahead and shut the door, and we're going to reach back here and shut the valve, and then we're going to go to the menu. So at the Harvest Right menu, we're going to go ahead and press the leaf icon, and this will put us into the function tests. And we only want 2 functions here. We want to use the heater, and we want to use the vacuum. Because when making Skittles, all we want to do, we want to heat the Skittles up, and then we want to use and apply the vacuum to tear the Skittles apart. The heat will crystallize the sugars, and the vacuum will pull the Skittles apart. Now in the candy mode, that usually operates between 140 to 150 degrees. When the heater is placed in the on position, the heater will go up to 150 degrees, which will be perfect to turn the Skittles into freeze-dried Skittles. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the heater, and we already have the valves closed, and then we're going to go ahead and turn on the vacuum, and we're going to go ahead and set a timer for 1 hour, and then we'll come back and see how things have progressed. We are coming up on 30 minutes, and I originally said we're going to do this for an hour, but I just want to show you what can happen just after 30 minutes of being in the freeze dryer. Now, if you're doing this on your own, you'll see that the heater temperature has reached the limit of 150 degrees, and this is what it's supposed to do. Now, as the temperature hits this limit, you'll see up here on the tray temperature that the tray temperature will get as hot as 160 degrees, and of course it'll hit the limit, but then it'll cool down to about 140 degrees, and then the heaters will turn back on. So the tray temperature will bounce around between 140 and 160 degrees, and that is absolutely normal. And you can see that without the refrigeration on, I'm only coming down to about 261 millitorr, which is also normal. With the refrigeration on, I'd get much lower, but there's no reason to have the refrigeration on because, once again, Skittles do not really contain any moisture. Now, there will be a very minute loss in weight, but it's not from moisture. It is actually from hydrogenated palm kernel oil. But that's a whole nother story. So anyway, we're almost at 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heater, and I'm going to turn off the vacuum, and we're going to sample the Skittles and see how they look. We're going to release the vacuum. And open up the chamber. Let's take a look. They look like Skittles. We're going to take a handful of these out, and these are still quite hot. But we're going to let these cool down, and we'll try them and see how crunchy they are. Shut the valve. Go ahead and turn on the heater and turn on the pump, and we'll give it another 30 minutes and see how that comes out. So here's my Skittles after being 30 minutes in the freeze dryer. And I guess there's 2 ways we can test these. One would be a taste test. I don't mean to eat with my mouth open, but I think you need to hear the crunch. They're plenty crunchy. They are not chewy. I guess the other way would be the plier test. So Here's a pair of pliers, and they just go to powder. So in 30 minutes, the freeze dryer at 150 degrees and at a vacuum, we're able to take the Skittles and basically freeze dry these into the candy treat that we all know and love. I did this in 30 minutes, and I could probably do this in a lot shorter time. So try it at home and see how long it takes for you to do freeze-dried Skittles. So just take the Skittles, put them in your freeze dryer, turn on the heater, turn on the vacuum, and give it 30 minutes and see what happens. But let them cool down. If you try to eat them right out of the freeze dryer when they're hot, they're going to be chewy. You have to let the sugar cool down because it's crystallized. These are all my Skittles after an hour in the freeze dryer. Some came out to be kind of interesting, but they're all done. They all look like freeze-dried Skittles, and most important, they're all crunchy. So even though I left these in for a full hour, the samples I took out at 30 minutes were just as good. So you really don't need an entire candy cycle time to do freeze-dried Skittles. Now, I can't say that for all the different types of candies that you can do, but for Skittles, you definitely can do Skittles a lot faster. And that was the whole point behind my 8-minute Skittles, where they were put into an oven at 190 degrees and then put into the freeze dryer for 3 minutes. That worked for some people and didn't work for others, probably because of the different temperatures in ovens and allowing the Skittles to cool down before they reach the freeze dryer and a few other issues. But this method does work. It can be as short as 30 minutes, and it could maybe even be shorter. You'll have to just practice and see how long it takes. But you can definitely do Skittles in a shorter period of time. Now, there's something I want to touch on just really briefly. If you're doing Skittles and you go to change your oil and you notice that your oil is really nasty looking, dark and dirty, something like this, well, this is the Skittles dirty oil secret. And I'm going to cover this in a video that has a link at the end of this video that talks about what to do about dirty Skittle oil. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But if you want to do Skittles in a shorter period of time, this is how you do it. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe. And as always, go forth and freeze dry the world. And I'll send you another video soon.